Nothing beats my favourite time of year. Christmas Day the Aussie way. See, us down under spend our holidays a little bit differently than everybody else. Outdoors in the scorching summer sun. None of this snow shit, but that doesn't mean we don't stay cool. Crack open a couple cold ones out from the esky. Cheers! Hell, we've even got our own Christmas carols that celebrate our unique holiday, unwrapping prezzies by the pool. And that's what we're gonna do today. I've been a good boy all year long, and now it's time to reap the rewards. It better be something good this year. After last Christmas, all I want is a good game for a change. TAZ-MANIA on the Mega Drive? Well, we've got to start somewhere, I suppose. May as well start close to home. What can I say about Taz the Tasmanian Devil? Aside from the fact that I always thought he was a bit shit, to be honest. While his classic Looney Tunes shorts are fine enough, though not even comparable to many of the other classics, his own spin-off TV series this game was based on is far, far more obnoxious. I can't even get through the opening song without an epileptic seizure and a half. It's exactly what I'd call ADHD entertainment. Constant flashing and motion. Not a single frame of this show gives you a moment to take anything in, and just bombards you with everything it's got. It doesn't help that Taz is such a weak character anyway. Nothing like a real Tazzy Devil. They don't spin around or make an ass out of themselves. They're adorable creatures. But unfortunately, this isn't about them. It's about Taz hearing the legend of some giant seabirds lost deep within a hidden valley. Learning they lay giant eggs, he spins off to find them, and that's all you get. The first thing that really offends me though is this map. Really looks like Tasmania, doesn't it? Even when rotated, it's still inaccurate because if there is one thing I don't associate with Tasmania, it's a fucking desert for the first level. I'm pretty sure this is the only place in the country without a fucking desert. Well, whatever. We're into the game now, and all I can say is good lord. The first thing that happens, I get stuck in this quicksand. Help! The game looks fine, cartoony and simple, but the soundtrack, well, just listen to it. That's right, you can't even hear the music over all the different sound effects. Every jump, every landing of a jump, every enemy, it's like whatever good work the music is trying to do just gets ruined by this. And when the music is already lifeless, then we're not off to a great start. Especially when trying to make jumps is such a bloody chore. Level 2 takes place in a factory with a really confusing layout. It takes some time to figure out what you can walk on and what's blocking your path. The goal of each stage is just to reach the end, but that's sometimes a lot easier said than done. Look at the ice level here, as if this game needed to be more slippery to control, by the way. At the end of this level, it's all glitched out. The textures are a mess and it kind of ends twice. Weird. I do like that there is some solid variety in the level types here, but it's all just the same leaps of faith at every platform, never being able to see where you're trying to land. And the enemies in this stage all blend in with the background. How is that fair? Yeah, the word fair does not apply to this game. Let me tell you about level 6. Level 6 is the cavern level, and oh dear, what a level it is. Taz gets strapped into this minecart, and good luck trying to figure out how this thing works before losing all of your lives. The game was just annoying up until this point, but this goes way overboard. You can raise it up over the barriers and then duck back down so you don't get wiped out. That's fine, we can start making some progress now. Until 10 seconds later when you reach this part, how are you supposed to clear that gap? There is no jump option, so you've got to speed the cart up, of course. So once you've figured all that out, you're ready to go. But do you really think my brain has enough time to register amidst all this blast processing the difference between a green and yellow light? Meaning I need to slow down. Of course not! It's like a cheap arcade game, all trial and error. God forbid Genesis actually does what Nintendo did and make a decent, simple to under-fucking-stand minecart level. Then right after this, we've got another cavern level that's like a maze, with elevators everywhere and even more leaps of faith onto moving platforms. No matter how carefully I try to jump, I don't stand a chance. You can even get trapped in a hole, but I don't know what's worse. Getting stuck somewhere you can't escape without resetting the system, or this fucking river section. The idea is to use the different logs and other terrain to navigate down the river, but everything is on a separate level into the background or foreground, so it's basically Frogger. Oof, I wish. I'm fine with all that, but the problem again is the jumping. It's so inconsistent trying to switch between the different planes. All you can do is just hit the water. And good luck trying to keep track of which plane you're on while the water shoots Taz to the fucking moon, meaning you can't even try to land safely. That's the one fatal flaw with this game, is the jumping. You've got to be so precise to hit your mark, the screen is zoomed in so far that you can't see where you're trying to land, and when you fuck up, you pay for it. There is nothing difficult about the game, it's just irritating to get through. All for nothing. There are several bosses throughout, all laughable jokes with how pathetic they each are, no strategy whatsoever, just avoid them and spin attack to kill, every single time. The final area is the Taz Temple, where we get to fight a doppelganger Taz, then the giant seabird. Easily the best boss fight in the game, still incredibly simple, but at least there is a pattern to learn. Before Taz can eat the egg, it hatches into a baby seabird, and the game is over. Not the worst game I've ever played, but definitely not great. TAZ-MANIAN gets 4 out of 10. If the control was improved, this would honestly be passable, but for a real-life Tazzy Devil, yours truly, I'm just glad it's over. Rough start to Christmas this year, but let's just hope this next game is at least worth our time. Are you having a laugh? Well, we might as well take a look at the Sega Master System version of TAZ-MANIAN. At least that way we don't have to come back for any further reviews. Of course, on a weaker system, we can expect some aspects of this game to be worse than we previously saw. For example, we don't get any cutscenes or even stills for the backstory, just plain text on a black screen. Not that there is anything wrong with that. The game itself looks fine enough for 8-bit though, and the sound design is so much better. They've actually balanced the sound effects with the music, and the music itself is pretty good. Same concept as before, just move through the level to reach the end, fight some simple bosses along the way, and continue. Control is much the same, though Taz can no longer spin indefinitely. The ability can now run out, but fully recharges within a matter of seconds. Good decision in my opinion, as that was a deadly game-breaking weapon in the Mega Drive version. But yeah, everything else is the same. Every level is still plagued with leaps of faith, and it doesn't help that Taz can't even sit centered on the screen. It makes me so scared to move forward, not knowing if I'm about to launch into a great chasm or slip all over trying to make some room for myself. Despite all that, it's incredibly easy. For one, there is no minecart or botched log jumping. The entire package has been scaled back to the barest form. 100% platforming. Simple will always be superior in my opinion. Of course, it still has its shortcomings. The levels are much more lacking with no split paths or hidden areas, very basic with a lack of flair, and the temple level in particular has some very cheap deaths, with spikes and breakaway blocks that lead you to your doom. And while the cliff stage may as well be the ice stage because of how slippy it is on these slopes, it is the final area, so the challenge makes sense. Only 5 chapters with 2 levels and a boss each. The final fight against the seabird is less impressive, but look, overall, I actually enjoyed this game a lot more. It's far less frustrating than the other one, but that just makes it a piss-easy baby game in the end. TAZ-MANIA on Master System gets 4 out of 10. Now, while I did give both of these games the same score, I still think the Master System version is superior, simply because I expect a lot more from the newer, stronger 16-bit system. If that makes any sense. They are much the same, but this one is much easier to tolerate. Maybe if I moved to another country, I'd find a Grand Theft Auto or something good under my tree. No! TAZ-MANIA on Game Gear? Are you kidding me? Now this is what I call a great fucking game. Listen, I know it's on a portable system, but surely to fuck, they could have done better than that. My electronic goat noises are less bombastic than this, and we haven't even started to talk about how the game plays yet. The first level starts up with you getting chased by a boulder. Basically this, but 2D, with some added You can spin all you like, you'll never make it, because you run out of spin energy. Only way to survive is by stopping to collect all the items to refill some of it. So yeah, now it doesn't regenerate. Fucking good to know. Moving on to level 2, and you can take a guess how this makes me feel. Luckily there are no bullshit jumps, but that doesn't make the level any easier. This time there are multiple paths to choose from. Take the wrong path and you're dead. Or worse, it just spits you back out at the start of the level, like a never-ending loop. Or what I'd like to call perpetual hell. Level 3 is a downhill snow course, kind of like Croc on Game Boy Color. It's just sort of like, okay, we're doing this now, I guess. Taz finds a stick to use as a snowboard, along with a Santa hat. How appropriate. This isn't terrible, but the jumping is stiff and unreliable, and it's only about 30 seconds later when the level is over with. Worthless. Now we're being pushed constantly by a fan and have to jump across ice cubes. The jumping is stiff and unreliable. Yeah, exactly. You have to be so precise with your timing here. Tap the button and you barely get off the ground. Hold it and you fly fair over the fucking things. This level is an absolute nightmare and I can't get past it. As soon as I'm starting to adapt to how astoundingly atrocious this control is, I get a game over. No continues either, which means back to the boulder and everything else. So not getting to spend some time with the ice jumping, I can never get good at it. The earlier stages, yeah, they're simple now, but this level just fucks me every single time I reach it. With enough patience and selling your soul to the Tasmanian devil, finally we're through, but only halfway through. Up next is the snow beast. Jump up and spin the icicles to shoot fire from the floor. Again, the control here is so functional, I might just have to slam the button a couple of times before it'll actually do what I need it to. Again, this takes a few game overs and retries to get the hang of, and when you do finally win, there's no time to regroup because, dear God, poor Taz looks like death trying to avoid death, flying through the sky. What is this game? It's absolute madness, and there isn't a single moment that isn't met with chaos. Funny, that's exactly what the TV show was like. Weird how the Game Gear version most accurately portrays the feel of the show. Time for another river level. Please just end me now. Not even kidding though, it's better than the Mega Drive version. Now that's desperate. For one, there is none of that multiple levels of depth BS, so that does help. But it's also nice after all that to get an actual level. Surprising, right? And that's all you get for the rest of the game. Up next is the temple where you learn that this meter, which represents your spin energy, is also your life bar. Yeah, so spinning around, doing Taz's signature move actually drains your life. Well, that's pretty fucked, considering there are enemies all through this level, which just so happens to be filled with long jumps that require the spin move. I just don't understand that thought process. Make your only means of survival your greatest weakness. Who thought that was a good idea? What does it matter? We're up to the final stage, and with just one life, all you do here is make your way up, avoid the birds swooping at you, and jump over to the... Oh, well that's fucking great. I missed it. And now I'm dead. Back to the start of the game! This is fucked. So fucked. So fucking fucked. I've played these levels so much that I can breeze the entire thing at this point. What an accomplishment. To be able to speedrun TAZ-MANIA on Sega Game Gear. Please just end. And that's it. That's your ending. Hope that 2 hours of frustration was worth it for this 2 out of 10 shit show. You know, once you get good at the game, you can pretty much beat the entire thing within 10 minutes. 10 painful minutes. Now remember, you might only get one other game for Christmas that year, so imagine finishing the entire thing before Santa's fat fucking ass is back up your chimney. You'd be fuming. Man, it's hot over here. Alrighty, let's hope this time, finally, we can take a look at something different. Yeah, right. Oh, fuck. Oh, it's fucking cold, man. Oh, fuck. Well, you might be surprised to learn that this game is something totally new. Rather than go for the side-scrolling action game, instead, Taz is flying down the highway at ferocious speeds, trying to catch kiwi birds to advance to the next stage. You can collect other birds along the way for extra points or power-ups, but mostly, you're going after these damn kiwis.
But don't worry, it still retains the cheap bullshit we're all familiar with, as these little bastards blend in so easily with the various backgrounds. Classic TAZ-MANIA.
It kind of reminds me of Space Harrier or something similar, with the semi-3D perspective constantly moving towards the horizon. But I especially love how the horizon moves as well, to block your field of view constantly, resulting in cheap hits. Again, this spin energy is also your life bar, so getting slammed repeatedly by trucks and trees and whatever else you can find out here makes this game a constant struggle. Every time you take a hit, you get a funny animation. This could actually be rather charming. Kid Clown in Crazy Chase, also on Super Nintendo, had a similar gimmick. It was fun seeing the various ways the character could take damage in such a short stage. But here, it's tired within the first act, and we only get a handful of different animations. So get used to seeing this. There really isn't that much else to say about this game. Literally all you do is run forward and collect kiwis. I mean, sure, the music is passable, albeit generic. As for the graphics, again they're nice and cartoony, fine when they're not totally fucking you, but otherwise, there is just nothing here. All you get is Taz running down some of the longest roads in the world. So it's basically a precursor to Temple Run or something like that, with some botched control and a serious lack of depth perception. And when it's all over and you've conquered every level, you get nothing. Not shit. All you get is the credits over a gorgeous looking Monument Valley. We're supposed to be in Tasmania, you Yankee Doodle dickheads! Could you not even try to set any of these fucking games in the correct state, country, continent, or fucking hemisphere? Tasmania on Super Nintendo gets 3 out of 10. And now, I want to die.
I can't die on Christmas. At least not until I unwrap the rest of my presents. Oh, please. Please let this be worth my time. No. Please, God, don't let it be true! Oh no! No! I can't take this bullshit anymore! TAZ-MANIA on Game Boy? I'm sorry, but I need something different. Now we're talking. There, Tasmanian Devil in Island Chase. I mean, it's still Taz, but at least it's a different game. It's the same game. TAZ-MANIA on Game Boy is also Tasmanian Devil Island Chase. Great!
This is what happens when they feel the need to change the name of games between different regions for no good reason. You end up with two games on the same system that are the exact same thing.
Why do they have to make it so confusing for people trying to collect them all? It's like a shitty Pokemon set.
Whatever. Let's play this mother. TAZ-MANIA in Christmas Island Capers. Nice. Just beautiful. Nothing makes me think of Christmas joy like a maximum security refugee detention centre. Merry fucking Christmas. Well, we're back to side-scrolling, thank Christ. Oh shit, look out! Taz is going apeshit. If you try to spin, you're forced to keep moving until it runs out. Real nice given I was just trying to kill this thing and end up getting myself killed in the process. Thankfully though, the spin ability is separate from our life bar, which is something, but now we've only got a limited number of spins per stage. I guess because it's so powerful, they needed a way to balance the game out, but it just seems kind of weird. Imagine if Crash Bandicoot only had a limited number of spins. It'd be hopeless. We've got the same jungles, caverns and deserts, so nothing new in that department. I'd like to say that the graphics in this game are actually stunning. Taz has a lot of attitude in his design, and all of the environments are incredibly detailed, especially for a Game Boy title. I'm not overly familiar with this system, but yeah, I'd say it's easily the best looking game we've seen all day, which is hilarious given the hardware comparisons. My biggest issue though, again, we can't see enough of the stage. The camera is zoomed in too far. It should be more like this, or at least try to keep Taz on one side of the screen. This just means that so many of these jumps are once again leaps of faith. I also didn't even notice you could walk on these clouds to get through the stage. I was down here on the beach lost, looking at this freaky bird that can walk on water. Maybe Jesus was reincarnated. The next level though, out of nowhere, throws you off a pier and you've got to keep spinning to stay alive. While the main levels are platforming, the game is broken up with a large variety of different playstyles. The SNES gameplay is back, actually improved, believe it or not. Okay, don't believe it. While I am glad the horizon doesn't move, meaning no more cheap deaths, items appear so quickly you barely have time to react with the sluggish movement. Luckily, you're only trying to reach the end, so it's not too bad. Then we've got this roller coaster thing. Huge pain in the ass, and can you take a guess why? How am I supposed to accurately time my jumps if the screen ends right next to Taz's face? This is what I'm saying about the camera. It really hurts this game.
This is where you'll get most of your game overs, which unfortunately puts you back at the title screen. Though the game does give you continue codes for each level section, which is something I guess. Time to bust out the notepad.
The cavern level is also kind of cheap. You've got these little trolleys to stand on which seem oddly familiar, but the track they run on is deadly to the touch. But you wouldn't know that without making a simple mistake first. Only in the second cavern level, once you've already figured that out, are there signs everywhere telling you, hey dumbass, your ass is gonna get burnt if you touch this. Thanks for the heads up. At the end of each section you fight a boss, and they're about what you'd expect. Just dodge their attacks and jump on their heads to win. At least the fight music keeps you entertained. In fact, this game has great music. Overall, while there are still a lot of issues here, for a Game Boy game, I think it's much more acceptable given the limitations. But most importantly, it actually manages to be fun at times. TAZ-MANIA on Game Boy gets 4 out of 10. Out of all these different versions, the fact that the Game Boy version is easily the best is quite embarrassing.
A 4 on Game Boy is a much better score than a 4 on Master System, let alone the beastly Genesis. So while all of these games are much the same quality, we're finally starting to get somewhere with this. Well, there is only one present left, and it's a big ass box. Oh, it's heavy too. This monster is big enough to be a new PC! Or maybe like a countertop arcade or something. TAZ-MANIA on Game Boy.
Well, you'd think we already played this, right? But no, it's a totally different game.
And now we've got TAZ-MANIA 2, also on Game Boy.
It's the same fucking game!
How the fuck did we end up with 2 games on the same system, both identical, with one of them as the first and the other as the sequel?
You know why. It's because the name of the first Game Boy title was changed to Island Chase. So, because PAL regions never got a TAZ-MANIA 1, they just called TAZ-MANIA 2 TAZ-MANIA.
I have no words.
Well, here is TAZ-MANIA 2 on Game Boy. We actually get a story this time. Bull and Axel have captured Taz's family, so he has to rescue them. The first thing you'll notice is, wow, the camera is actually zoomed out. They actually listened to what I had to say. The downside, however, is that the game doesn't look as good. Not even close to the level of detail we had before, but that's how it goes. Listen, I'd much prefer a better gameplay experience than tidy graphics, and unfortunately, that's just not the case. The control is so slippery, again. Even with a larger field of view, it's still so easy to slip and slide all over the place, fall into enemies and get yourself killed. All you do in this game is take damage and die. When Taz's charge meter runs dry, that's it. Just hit reset, because if you think you can make it through these stages without any means of defense, you're a fool. A fool on a fool's errand. The fucking masochists who made this don't even have the common courtesy to refill the spin energy between each level. What kind of cruel prank is that? And I mean, after all we've seen, who wants to go through with this? Just to reach the first boss? You don't even get a moment to figure out what's going on, figure out where to attack this boss, or understand why Taz has a projectile weapon all of a sudden before you're dead. Game over. No continues, no level passcodes. Start from scratch. This image sums up my feelings on this game perfectly. I made it back again, but I still can't figure out how to hit this guy. These tornadoes, or whatever they are, miss the mark every other try. And how creative. Taz throwing tornadoes. Problem is, missing so many shots, they run out so quickly. And once they're gone, all you've got is that spin attack. But there is no feasible way to hit this guy without taking damage in the process, and he takes so many hits. How is the first Game Boy title the only game to have a life bar for the bosses? Please fucking answer me that. Once you finally kill him, after repeating those first 3 levels several times over, you move on to the second area, Condo Caves. At least it's something actually based on the show, but that doesn't make it any more enjoyable. Though I do love the decor in this place, particularly the spiked ceilings waiting off screen just to fuck you when you try to jump up. Love that shit. Almost as much as the dynamite and other hazards just fucking everywhere. By some sort of freak luck, I made it to the second boss, which is some pterodactyl. Again, you've got to throw Taz's tornadoes at it, and you have to be pixel perfect to throw these things, or they go straight through. Good luck trying to hit this thing when they're all gone. And that's as far as I can make it, given the lack of continues, no level codes, no cheats, and not even a single fuck left to give. I give TAZ-MANIA 2, this cunted game, a 2 out of 10.
I'm done. This journey we've been on makes me never want to see another Tazzy Devil ever again. And that makes me sad because they're beautiful animals. Yet the poor things are out there, cursed with this horrible form of cancer that's nearly destroyed their entire existence. It's contagious and spreads so easily from a devil biting another devil, which just so happens to be common behaviour. It's just so devastating and depressing that this Tasmanian devil managed to sink its teeth into every game system of the time and spread its cancerous tumour of mediocrity all throughout the ecosystem. And it killed my Christmas. All I wanted was to play a good fucking game.
Hey Santa Claus, you cunt! Where's me fucking game? I've unwrapped all this other junk and it's all the fucking same! I wrote you a fucking letter and I come to see you twice. Your worn out geriatric fart, you've caused me so much pain!
Look at you, Santa, you motherfucker! Ruined my Christmas, you cunt! Oh. God damn it! It was supposed to be a great fucking holiday and you ruined it! Never celebrating Christmas again! Oh. Fuck you, Santa!